So in this video, we're going to be talking about errors in Python and as well as the try except block. Okay, so you might remember, so far everything that we've run so far just works. It just works magically. We print some stuff and it just works. And maybe in your own experimentation, you discover that sometimes you do something and it doesn't exactly work the way you expect it to. So today we're going to intentionally cause some errors and we're going to see, what happens. So for example, let's create a number and store it as A. And then let's say hello world and store it as B. And so you know that we can add two numbers together and we can, even concatenate two strings together with the plus operator. So what happens if we try to add a number to a string? And we can store it as C. And if we try to run this, we'll see traceback, most recent call last. And what we actually care about is this very last line. It says type error, unsupported operator types for plus, int, and str. So str is string and int is integer. And so basically it's saying, we don't support adding an integer to a string. Obviously you don't expect that to actually work in practice. And you see we get an error. Okay, and it even tells you exactly what line, so line 4, which is right here. And it tells you exactly what line, what code on the line that caused the error, which is, C equals A plus B. We tried to add it, 3 to hello world, which didn't work. And so we'll get a lot of these kind of errors, and maybe, you want your code to continue running, and you don't want it to just exit when you get an error. And so this is where the try except block comes in. And so first we have some try, and then I'll talk about the pass in just a second, but okay. First we have try. So try means I'm going to try running the code inside here. Pass means just continue on, okay? It means, pretend that this line is doing nothing and just continue on, okay? And except means, if we tried at whatever's in try and it failed, we got an error, then it'll run the code in except. So, for example, I'm going to put A equals 3 in try. And then in except, I'm going to say, uh-oh, found an error. So, A equals 3 is valid code, so we don't expect this error to print. And indeed, we see nothing happens when we run the program. Now, maybe we want to cause an error, okay? So we'll add a number to a string, and when we run it, we'll see, uh-oh, found an error. And so obviously this code ran and this code didn't. And so that is the essence of a try except block. Basically, it'll go to the except part if something fails, and so your code continue running and you won't have a traceback and your code won't crash if you write some bad code or buggy code. So I do want to reiterate though that you have to be careful. You can't just wrap everything inside a try except block, because if your code is all buggy and messy, then you're going to have issues. You're going to not know what the error is because you're just going to run the except code. And so you want to make sure that your code actually works as intended, and you can use try except as a way to catch unintended errors. Maybe there's something you didn't see in advance, but your code works anyways, then you want to use try and except. Or maybe, for example, maybe, I have some, we're going to talk about this in the future as well, but maybe I have some object, okay, and my object contains, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. This is just an example, so this is not actual code. Don't try to copy this. And let's say I want to get 7 out of my, group of objects. Well, 7 doesn't exist in my group of objects, but, maybe 6 does. And sometimes maybe I run this code again and I want 6 instead. And so whenever, 7 doesn't exist, then we'll go to the except. But when it does exist, then we'll use the code inside try. And so that's one of the use cases of using try and except. And we're going to be using this in the future as well. In the next video, we're going to be talking about more advanced variables. We're going to talk about, how can we store multiple objects inside a variable, and more than just numbers and strings, what are other types of variables that we might actually care about.